For a long stretch of running my business, a 70-hour week wasn't even something I noticed anymore. It was just the week, right? It was early mornings, late nights, weekends that were supposed to be off but never really were. And I wore it, honestly, almost like proof. Like if I was working that much, that meant I was serious about this. So a while ago, I did something that genuinely made me nervous. I cut my week down to 25 hours, not as a vacation, not as a break. I was still running both businesses the entire time, just 25 hours instead of 70. And what I found out about where the other 45 hours had actually been going is the part I can't stop thinking about. So I had to make a video about it. Here's what I believed. And I think a lot of people believe this, even if they would never say it out loud. I believe the hours were the work. Like more hours in the chair meant more business getting built. If I was tired, that meant I had earned something and I deserved it. If I was working on a Sunday, that meant I cared enough to be working on a Sunday. And the reality is, for a while, that belief even seemed true. Early on, more hours genuinely did mean more progress in a lot of ways because there was so much that just had to get done and nobody else was going to do it. That is the early days of being a business owner. But somewhere along the way, that stopped being true, and I never noticed the moment that it stopped. I just kept working the same way because it was the only way I'd ever known how to run a business. So I did something. I set a hard limit, 25 hours for the week total across both businesses. And I want to be honest, the first thing I had to do wasn't change my schedule, it was change how I was choosing what got my time at all. Because when you go from 70 to 25, you can't just do the same things faster. You have to actually decide what doesn't happen. So I protected mornings for the handful of things that actually move the business forward. I batched anything reactive into 2 windows a day instead of letting it interrupt me constantly. And anything that wasn't client work, wasn't revenue, and wasn't something only I could do. I either delayed it, handed it off, or just didn't do it that week in that given time. So I'm not going to pretend the first few days felt good because they didn't after so many years of doing the same thing. But there's a very specific kind of anxiety that shows up when you close your laptop and you know there are still things sitting there, right? You've probably felt it. It felt like I was getting away with something I shouldn't be getting away with. But here's what I found out to my surprise: almost nothing broke. Client work still got delivered on time and at the same quality. The businesses didn't slow down in any way that I could actually point to. And when I look back at where those other 45 hours used to go, it wasn't 45 hours of essential work I'd cut out. It was meetings that didn't need to happen, tasks I was doing myself that someone else could have handled just fine, and a huge amount of time spent on things that felt productive in the moment but weren't actually moving anything forward. There was this one afternoon in particular in the old version of my week where I remember spending almost 3 hours redesigning an internal document nobody but me would ever see. It felt productive and it felt like work. And I think that's the trap. A 70-hour work week doesn't feel like waste while you're in it. It just feels like commitment. The hardest part to admit is that the business runs on roughly the same output with a third of the hours, which means most of those extra 45 hours weren't building the business at all. They were mostly just me being busy because being busy felt like the job. Being busy feels good. Being busy is something you can say to your friends or say to people out in the world, like, I'm so busy. We talk about busyness as if it's this cape that we wear, this thing that is all what life is all about, and it's not. And so I think this actually exposed so many things for me. I'd built an identity around the hours, not the outcome. Working constantly had quietly become proof to myself that I was serious business owner. Like that's how I was telling myself, like, I am a true business owner because of how busy I am. Even on the weeks where the actual results didn't reflect that many hours. And I think a lot of us do this without realizing it because nobody hands you a scorecard for running a business. So the hours become the scorecard instead. And the truth is, 70 hours was never really protecting the business. It was protecting a feeling, the feeling of having done enough. 25 hours spent on the right things did more for the business than 70 hours spent proving I was working hard. You don't need to jump straight to 25 hours though. Pick 1 week and cut your hours by a third. And before you start, decide ahead of time what you're protecting. The few things that actually move revenue or actually move the business forward, everything else has to earn its way back into the calendar instead of just defaulting onto it because it always has. You're going to feel really comfortable around day or 2 or 3, maybe even day 1, and that's normal. That's not a sign of it's not working. That's usually a sign that it is, but there's a deeper thing happening in you. So I would genuinely love to know what you think would survive the cut if you tried this on your own week. And what do you think wouldn't? So drop that in the comments. Let me know what you're going to try. And if part of what's eating your hours is systems that should be running without you, that's exactly what I would love to work through with you over at buyaustinblanchard.com. And if it's your brand or your website or your marketing quietly creating more work than it should, then head over to Creative Cabana and check us out. So thanks for being here. And remember, enjoy the journey, my friend, and I'll see you in the next one.